because I didn't realize I was looking. I actually don't really know. I mean, I think, again, it goes back to this edict against the Moabites and what that represented to the community in terms of its implications for, what would have happened. I don't know, but I can't imagine it would have been good.
No.
But I think that's a good springboard for whatever next you're going to be talking about.
Yeah. Can you tell us what it's like to hear the story of Ruth in your Jewish context?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the emphasis when you guys are doing? I'm sorry, how do you say it again?
Shavuot.
Shavuot. Thank you.
It varies. This was the article that I brought came from Tablet Mag. Tablet is Jewish news, culture, and kind of Jewish literary website. So Shavuot is actually a holiday because it's the holiday that celebrates the giving of Torah. Traditionally, what you do is you stay up all night and learn. And so you'll have, I've been to all sorts of communities for like all-night Shavuot learning, and there's some pretty radical stuff being taught about the Book of Ruth, about the holiday of Shavuot, about other texts like this. That's the joy of interpretation, and at least when I was in New York, it's the joy of being a part of a variety of different really interesting and dynamic communities, is that all of these texts, all of our canon is subject to interpretation. It has been since it was passed down from one generation to the next. Like it's all been subject to interpretation since literally time immemorial. And I think it's awesome. I think that's what makes us fun. And I think that's what gives the text more of a means to keep fresh. Like, clearly, I wasn't the first person to think about the connection between Ruth and illegal immigration, because there was an article written about this in 2017, right? So now almost 2 years ago. I wasn't the first person to note the queer dynamic between Ruth and Naomi. These have been pointed out by people for a long time. So I love when these texts are like dissected like that. It's the best.
Anybody have any other questions?
That's good. I gotta get home and rest my voice.
Yeah, I hear you totally. Can we just go around and have everybody say one new thing? I have it too, Ari. I'm so coughing. Can we have everybody just go around and say like one new thing that you feel like you gained tonight about the Book of Ruth?
Can I start?
Yes, you can start, Melanie. Thank you.
I had never thought about how Ruth is kind of working the system, so I like that. I thought that was really.
Want to go to Ray or Daniel?
He wants to go this way, so
Go this way. I just can't think of it.
I think for me, just the whole legal immigration was kind of like really amazing to see that it's breaking the law and everything like that. So and then comparing it to the time now context.
I see Ruth as like much more of a badass now. I'm really happy just thinking of how like brave she was to immigrate over and just go through everything. Yeah.
I guess I just, I've read the book and I've been in some Bible studies on the book, and I guess I must have been very much at a surface level, because I didn't really think of these kinds of things when I was involved with that. So this is good.
I don't know. I really appreciate the conversation about how one exists in a traditional marriage framework and what kind of a fit they find in that. So that was something new today.
Kind of similarly, like learning about kind of how, you know, the issues within the story, like of like immigration and like marriage was also like how we see that also today.
For me, it was definitely also the illegal immigration. I mean, I've been like studying a lot on this in preparation for our thing in Lent, and obviously the immigration issue is like such part of this story, but I had just never, I never connected it to that Deuteronomy text. And like, duh, I mean, and it hasn't come up, which it should have, in the commentaries and things that I've been reading, so.
For me, it's the same one. It's to put the word illegal in front of the immigration changes the status of it. And and to get back and to be thinking about it was the law then that you do not marry outside the faith, or
To me, it's kind of why that thinking King David is have a lot of legal immigrant, like kind of like how to put it, like book law things change the political system, like can think in that way. It's quite surprising.
Yeah, thank you.
I did think of something. What came to mind as you were speaking, the fact that they didn't explain any relationships is very interesting. That in those days we didn't try to describe everybody's relationships. Just they existed. Whatever they were fine. They accepted each other. As whatever's going on, rather than trying to put them in a category.
Right.
I know they were always accepted.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
They were always accepted.
That's one guy's opinion. I'm a little Meshuggah.
Can you clarify for us? Like we hear that it was like an intimation of sexual relations when somebody lies at the feet of somebody else. Is that like true in Hebrew?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can be fairly confident that when Ruth went to Boaz, that it got sexual.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, the Bible's just really good with euphemism. Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rabbi Ari.
Thanks for having me, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to come back.
Could I ask another question? Like, what's women's study in modern Jewish society and in ancient Jewish society?
I'm sorry?
What is women's
Status.
Status in
Contemporary.
contemporary Jewish society and in ancient.
Oy, no.
Like as
I don't know how much time you have, and I really want to go home at some point today.
I'm sorry.
No, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And again,
we usually finish by 7:30. So.
Yeah, I would very much, if you have the time at some point to really bring in my colleague Ahava, she can answer that much better than I can on account of she's a woman. I would say, to put it very, 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 very succinctly, depends on the community by and large. There's that spectrum of traditional observance, right? And people kind of fall on the progressive end or the more traditional end. By and large, depending on where you are on that spectrum, your relationship to other women, your relationship to men, your relationship to the prayer and to the text might be different. I wouldn't necessarily say that it would be less than, but it would be different. Because, again, it's that spectrum of more progressive versus more traditional. And, you know, women in Jewish communities exist everywhere on that spectrum here in America. And
Just
here
like
in
Christian.
Champaign.
Yeah, just like a
Yeah,
Christian.
of course. Even here on this campus, there are women who exist everywhere on that spectrum. And you know, how they feel they are represented in the community, I think, is it's up to them. I can't speak for them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I'm happy to come back whenever, y'all.
Yeah.
We're down the street.
Yeah.
Also, y'all, you know, come by whenever. We have Friday night dinner and services. Services are at 6, dinner's at 7. It's always free and open to everybody.
We've been wanting actually to come to the
Yeah.
service, so